A person who watches you but never reaches out is not missing you. They're measuring their control over you. The hardest pill to swallow is knowing they still watch, check, and linger in the shadows, but never step forward. They don't call, they don't text, and they don't fix things, but they observe every post, every update, every little sign of life. Why? Because deep down, they don't want to lose you. They just don't want to earn you. But my friends, not this time. Today, we're flipping the script. Before we dive in, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what you're about to hear is going to shatter the lies, expose the mind games, and make sure you never fall for their silence again. Hey folks, imagine this. You walk into a store and everything is free. Top-shelf clothes, designer watches, all yours, no price tag. At first, you're in awe, grabbing everything in sight, but after a while it loses its thrill. You stop caring, you stop valuing what's in your hands. Then one day, the store shuts down. No warning, no explanation. Suddenly you realize you can't get those things anymore. And that's when you finally see their worth. That's exactly what's happening here. They had you, your time, your energy, your love, but they never cherished it because they thought it would always be there. So they played games, made you question your worth, and acted like they didn't care. But now that you've pulled away, now that the door is closed, suddenly they're watching. Not because they love you, but because they need to know if the door is still unlocked. You see, people don't fear losing you. They fear losing their access to you. If they truly didn't care, they wouldn't be watching. They wouldn't be refreshing your profile at 2 a.m., checking to see if you're still there, still waiting, still hoping. But they won't reach out because reaching out means swallowing their pride. It means admitting they lost someone rare, and their ego, oh my friends, their ego can't handle that. They're not watching because they regret what they did. They're watching because they regret losing control. Let me tell you something. If someone truly wanted you, they wouldn't sit in silence, lurking from a distance like a ghost from the past. They wouldn't be out here watching your life like a TV show they're too scared to turn off. They'd step up, take accountability, and do the work. But they won't, because watching is easier. Watching means they don't have to face the consequences of their actions. Right now, you might be wondering, if they're still watching, does that mean they care? No, my friends, that's the trap. That's the lie that keeps people stuck. People don't always watch out of love. Sometimes they watch because they can't stand the idea that you've moved on without them. To them, losing you wasn't the scary part. Losing their grip on you was. But here's the part they weren't expecting. You're not breaking. You're not sitting around waiting for them to send that one little message, that breadcrumb, that half-hearted, hey, just so they can feel important again. Because you know your worth now. You know that the only people who deserve a spot in your life are the ones willing to show up, to be real, to fight for you the way you fought for them. And the more you refuse to play their game, the more they start to feel the weight of their own silence. So let them watch. Let them sit there scrolling, checking, wondering what you're up to. Because the moment you stop caring, the moment you stop looking back, that's when they realize they've lost you for real. Now say it with me. I do not break. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. And if this hit home, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what's coming next is going to make sure they never get to play with your heart again. Number 1, they're not watching out of love. They're watching out of fear. They don't fear losing you. They fear losing their hold over you. If they were truly happy, if they had truly moved on, they wouldn't be watching. They wouldn't be checking in from the shadows, lurking on your stories, scrolling through your updates like a ghost that refuses to leave. Happy people don't look back. People who are at peace don't sit in silence waiting for a sign that you still care. So if they're still watching, if they're still keeping tabs on you, it's not love, it's fear. They don't fear losing you. They fear you've outgrown them. Hey folks, imagine this. You ever see a kid with a toy they never play with? It's been lying in the corner collecting dust for months. They step over it, ignore it, act like it doesn't exist. But the second someone else picks it up, the second they see it in someone else's hands, suddenly they want it back. Suddenly it matters, not because they truly love it, but because they hate the idea of losing something they once controlled. That's exactly what's happening here. They had the chance to appreciate you, to value you, to step up and be the person you deserved, but they didn't. They ignored your worth, took your kindness for granted, acted like you were always going to be there. And now that you've stopped chasing, now that you've stepped into your own power, suddenly they're watching. Not because they love you, but because they're afraid they no longer have control. Right now, you might be thinking, if they're watching, doesn't that mean they care? That's the trap, my friends. That's the lie that keeps so many people stuck. See, we're taught to believe that when someone keeps checking in, it must mean something. That silence mixed with curiosity is proof of love. But love isn't passive. Love isn't hiding behind a screen, refreshing your page, hoping for a glimpse into your world, but never stepping into it. If they truly cared, they would be with you. If they truly valued you, they wouldn't have treated you like an option. No, my friends, this isn't about love. This is about power. Because here's the part they won't admit. They expected you to break first. They expected you to wonder, to doubt, to reach out first. They thought you'd crack under the silence just like you always have. But when you didn't, when you stayed quiet, when you refused to play their game, that's when the fear set in. Because the second you stop reacting, the second you stop checking, the second you start moving forward without them, that's when they start to panic. They don't fear losing you. They fear losing their influence over you. And that's why they're watching. Because they need to know. Do they still have a way back in? Can they still affect you? Do you still check their page, still wonder, still overthink? Or have you finally done the one thing they never thought you would? Let go. And let me tell you, folks, nothing terrifies a manipulator more than the moment they realize you're no longer playing their game. That's why this part is so difficult, because you're human. You've cared deeply. You've given them a love they didn't deserve, and walking away from that is hard. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if maybe they've changed. You'll tell yourself that maybe, just maybe, their silence means something more. But my friends, silence only means something if it's followed by action, and these people, they don't act, they watch. Watching is easy. It costs them nothing to scroll, to check your page, to linger in the background, to sit in the shadows and hope that you'll break before they have to face what they've done. Because if they really felt the loss, they wouldn't be watching from a distance. They would be standing in front of you, doing the work. So let me ask you, do you really want someone who is too scared to step forward, but not scared enough to stop watching? No, you deserve someone who doesn't play these games. Someone who doesn't sit in silence waiting for you to make it easy for them. Someone who doesn't wait until you've built yourself back up just to try and pull you down again. And that's why this time is different. This time, you don't break. This time, you don't wonder. This time, you don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still have space in your mind. Because when you stop checking, stop caring, stop looking back, that's when they feel it the most. And by the time they realize they actually lost you, you'll be so far ahead, they'll never catch up. Now say it with me. I am out of reach. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. And if this hit home, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what's coming next is going to make sure they never get to pull you back in again. Number 2, if they truly cared, they'd show up. Real loss doesn't sit in silence. Real love doesn't hide behind a screen. Let's be real, my friends. If someone truly cared, if they truly regretted losing you, would they be sitting in the shadows like a ghost? No, they'd be showing up. They'd be proving themselves. They'd be making things right. But they're not. They're just watching, refreshing your page, stalking your stories, maybe even accidentally liking an old post just to remind you they exist. But do they reach out? Do they apologize? Do they own up to what they did? No, because that would require effort. That would require humility. That would require them to risk rejection. And their ego can't handle that. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure you never fall for their silence again. Hey folks, imagine this. You lose your wallet on the street. Inside are your ID, your credit cards, your most valuable belongings. What do? You don't just sit back and hope it magically returns. You go looking for it. You retrace your steps. You ask around. You do whatever it takes to get it back because it matters to you. Now, tell me this. If they really lost you, if they really cared, if they really valued what they had, why aren't they looking for you? Because people don't sit back and do nothing when they've truly lost something valuable. And I know some of you are thinking, but maybe they're scared. Maybe they don't know how to reach out. Maybe they just need time. No, that's the lie you tell yourself to hold on to hope. Because the truth is, when someone really wants something, they find a way. They don't wait for a perfect moment. They don't sit in silence hoping you'll do the work for them. They step up. And that's exactly why they're not reaching out. Because deep down, they don't actually want to fix things. They just want to know they still could. They want to know you're still there, that you still think about them, that if they ever did decide to walk back in, the door would still be open. It's not love, it's control. They're watching because they're hoping you'll be the one to crack first, that you'll break under the weight of the silence, that you'll be the one to reach out, to check in, to make the first move. Because if you do, the game resets. The moment you react, they win. Suddenly the pressure is off them. You took the risk. You opened the door. You gave them an excuse to waltz back in like nothing ever happened. And trust me, if you do, they won't come back with real effort. They won't return with an apology, a changed heart, or a plan to make things right. No, they'll come back just enough to feed their ego, to feel validated, to know they still have you. And the second they get that reassurance, they'll disappear again. So my friends, let me ask you this. If they were truly sorry, if they truly regretted losing you, Why are they leaving it all up to you? Why are they silent? Why aren't they doing the work? Because real love doesn't sit on the sidelines. Real loss doesn't lurk in the shadows waiting for an easy way back in. If they cared, they'd show up. And since they won't, since they'd rather watch than act, that tells you everything you need to know. So don't waste another second wondering. Don't sit there overanalyzing their silence, trying to decode their passive behavior. Don't let them manipulate you into doing the work they should be doing. Because you are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone's unfinished business. They had a chance. They made a choice. And now they live with it. So say it with me. I do not respond to ghosts. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what's coming next is going to make sure they never get the chance to waste your time again. Number 3, they want you to break first. This isn't about missing you. It's about waiting for you to crack. Let's get one thing straight, my friends. They're not sitting there regretting, longing, or hoping for a second chance. They're waiting to see if you'll be the one to break first. They know your patterns. They know how you think. They know that silence makes you uncomfortable, that eventually the uncertainty will eat at you. They think that if they just stay quiet long enough, if they just keep watching from the sidelines, you'll crack. You'll second-guess yourself. You'll wonder if they ever really cared, and then you'll be the one to reach out. That's the game, my friends. It's not about love. It's not about regret. It's a power play. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure you never fall for this game again. Hey folks, imagine this. You're at an auction, and there's one last bid on the table. The item is rare, priceless, irreplaceable. But instead of making a counteroffer, instead of showing their hand, the other bidder just waits. They stare you down, silent, unmoving, betting on one thing, that you'll panic, that you'll think, what if no one else bids? What if I lose this chance forever? So you bid again, raising the price, handing over more than you ever needed to. And the second you do, they win. That's exactly what they're doing to you. They're not reaching out, not because they've moved on, but because they want you to be the one to fold first. Because if they reach out first, they risk rejection, they risk looking weak, they risk giving up the upper hand. But if you reach out, that's their green light. That's when they tell themselves, see, I still have them, they still care, I still have control. And that's exactly why you hold the line. Because let me tell you something, people who actually miss you don't sit in silence hoping you'll break first. They don't wait in the shadows, testing your patience, playing a game to see if you'll come crawling back. They step up, take responsibility, and make things right. But they won't do that, because for them, it's not about fixing things. It's about control. They're hoping you'll overthink it. They're hoping you'll convince yourself that they're just too afraid to reach out, that they're just waiting for a sign. They want you to believe that silence means something deeper, because as long as you believe that, you're still playing the game. But here's where you win. You don't play. You don't reach out. You don't wonder. You don't break. Because here's the thing. They expected you to fold. They thought you'd be the one to reset the game. But the moment you stop chasing, the whole game falls apart. They don't know what to do when you stop reacting. They don't know how to handle the version of you that doesn't break under silence. Because for so long, they believed they had you figured out. But now they're the ones unsure. And trust me, my friends, that's when they start to panic. That's when the silence becomes their prison. That's when they start to feel the weight of their own absence. Because the one thing they never planned for was you actually moving on. So let them sit in their silence. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them feel the same uncertainty they tried to put you through. Because the moment they realize you're not waiting anymore, that's the moment you win. So say it with me. I do not chase. I do not break. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Number 4, their ego needs you to care. The moment they realize you don't care anymore, that's when it hits them. Listen, my friends, some people don't fear losing you. They fear losing the control they had over you. They don't regret what they did. They don't regret the pain they caused. No, the only thing that keeps them up at night is knowing that you finally woke up. And now they're scrambling, because for so long they were certain that no matter what they did, no matter how many times they ignored you, pushed you away, or treated you like an afterthought, you'd still be there. You'd still care. You'd still feel something for them. But now you don't. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure they never get to play with your emotions again. Hey folks, imagine this. There's a performer on stage. The lights are bright. The crowd is roaring. The energy is electric. But suddenly, the audience goes silent. No applause, no cheers, no reaction. And for the first time, the performer realizes they were never the star. The audience was. That's exactly what's happening to them. Because for the longest time, you were their audience. You gave them your energy, your attention, your emotions. Even when they hurt you, even when they let you down, they still had the satisfaction of knowing that you cared, that they still had a place in your mind. And now that audience is gone. The show is over. The applause has stopped. And that's what breaks them. Because let's be real, people like this don't thrive on love. They thrive on attention. They don't need to know that you want them back. They just need to know that you still think about them, that they still occupy space in your head. That's why they watch from the shadows. That's why they keep tabs, why they lurk on your social media, why they won't say anything but won't fully disappear either. Because they need to believe that they still matter to you. But when they realize they don't, that's when it truly hits them. Because losing you wasn't their fear. Losing the power they had over you was. And I know some of you are thinking, but if they're watching, doesn't that mean they still care? No, watching isn't caring. Watching is checking to see if you still care, checking to see if they still have a hold on you, checking to see if there's still a way back in. Because as long as they believe you still care, as long as they believe they still affect you, they don't have to change. They don't have to take accountability. They don't have to feel the full weight of losing you. But when you stop reacting, when you stop checking, when you stop caring, that's when their ego takes the hit. That's when they realize they weren't as important as they thought they were. And trust me, my friends, that realization, that's their real punishment. Because people like this don't suffer when they hurt you. They suffer when they realize they can't hurt you anymore. So stop giving them energy. Stop analyzing their silence. Stop wondering if they feel the loss. Because the truth is, they only feel it when you move on, when they see you thriving, when they see you unbothered, when they realize they have no more control. And by then, it's too late. Because your peace, that's your priority now. So say it with me. My peace is my priority. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Number 5, they want the door open, but they won't walk through it. They want to know they could come back, but they don't actually want to do the work. Let's get one thing straight, my friends. They don't want you back. They don't want to fix things. They don't want to make it right. They just want to know they could. That if they ever got bored, if they ever felt lonely, if they ever wanted an easy win for their ego, you'd still be there. The door would still be open. You'd still be an option. But walking through that door, actually showing up, actually doing the work, actually proving that they deserve another chance, that's not part of the plan. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure they never get to waste your time again. Hey folks, imagine this. You own a beautiful house, warm and welcoming. For years, someone lived there, but instead of appreciating it, they trashed it, left the doors open in a storm, let the roof leak, broke things, and never bothered to fix them. One day, they walked out like it meant nothing. Now, months later, they're standing outside. They won't knock. They won't say they miss it. They won't ask if they can come back and treat it right this time. No, they just want to make sure the door isn't locked. That's exactly what they're doing to you. They're watching, lurking, liking a post here, viewing a story there. But do they step up? Do they say what needs to be said? Do they do the work? No, because the second they actually come back, the second they have to be real, they have to be accountable, they have to admit they were wrong, they have to acknowledge that they lost something valuable, and their ego. Their ego can't handle that, so instead they play the breadcrumb game. They do just enough to keep themselves in your mind, just enough to make you wonder, just enough to keep the door cracked open. Because as long as they know it's open, as long as they know they could come back if they wanted to, they don't actually have to make a decision. They don't have to risk rejection. They don't have to take responsibility. And you sit there, stuck in limbo, stuck wondering what their silence means, stuck questioning whether they miss you or if they've really moved on. But let me tell you something, my friends. People who actually value you don't hesitate. They don't play games. They don't sit back and wait for the right moment. They don't watch from a distance hoping you'll do the work for them. They step up. And the fact that they won't, the fact that they'd rather lurk in the background, leaving breadcrumbs instead of showing up like a real person, that tells you everything you need to know. They don't want you. They want access to you. But you are not a revolving door. You don't sit around waiting for people to decide whether or not you're worth the effort. You don't hold space for someone who doesn't have the courage to walk through the door and stay. And I know some of you are thinking, but what if they're just scared? What if they're waiting for a sign? Let me be blunt, that's not your problem. A person who wants to be in your life will show you no mixed signals, no half-hearted attempts, no cowardly breadcrumbs to keep you confused. And if they can't do that, then they don't deserve to be there. So stop leaving the door open. Stop analyzing their weak attempts. Stop giving them the comfort of knowing they could come back whenever they want. Because the truth is, when you finally close that door, when you finally walk away for good, that's when they feel it. That's when it truly hits them that they played themselves. Because a person who knows they lost something real, they don't just sit back and watch. They fight for it. And since they won't, you already have your answer. So say it with me. I don't hold space for cowards. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Number 6. If they were happy, they wouldn't be watching. Happy people don't look back. Only the ones who lost something do. Let's cut through the lies, my friends. They act like they've moved on. They put on a show, posting like life is perfect, laughing, partying, pretending they've never been better. But if that's true, then tell me this. Why are they still watching? Why are they still checking your profile? Why are they still lurking in the shadows? Why are they still keeping tabs on your every move? Because the truth is, happy people don't look back. Happy people don't sit behind a screen, refreshing your page at 2 a.m., wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and if you've forgotten about them. Only the ones who lost something do. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure you never mistake their silence for strength again. Hey folks, imagine this. You walk into a casino. You place a reckless bet, laughing, thinking you can afford to lose. The game moves on. The chips are gone. You shrug it off, or so you pretend. But hours later, you keep looking back at the table, watching the next players, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you should have held on a little longer. That's exactly what's happening here. Because people who are truly happy, they don't check on the things they've left behind. They don't revisit old pages, old memories, old connections. They don't need to. But the ones who lost something, the ones who made the wrong bet, the ones who thought you'd always be there, they do. And I know some of you are thinking, but what if they're just curious? What if it doesn't mean anything? Let me be clear. Curiosity doesn't make someone check your page every day. Curiosity doesn't make someone lurk in silence while pretending they've moved on. That's not curiosity. That's regret in disguise. Because if they truly didn't care, if they had truly moved on, they wouldn't need to know what you're doing. They'd be too busy living their life. But they can't, because deep down, they feel it. The weight of their choices, the absence of your presence, the realization that maybe, just maybe, they lost something they can't replace. But instead of stepping up, instead of admitting it, instead of making things right, they do nothing. They watch, they lurk. They convince themselves that as long as they can still see you, as long as they can still keep tabs, as long as they can still check in, they haven't really lost you. But you don't need their attention. You don't need their silent breadcrumbs, their passive lurking, their half-hearted presence in the background of your life. What you need is your peace. And peace doesn't come from wondering what they're thinking. Peace doesn't come from checking if they've checked. Peace doesn't come from waiting for them to finally wake up. Peace comes from knowing it doesn't matter anymore. Because the truth is, you've already won. The fact that they're watching, that's proof. Proof that you were worth something. Proof that you left a mark. Proof that you were never the problem. They were. And when they finally realize that you don't care anymore, that you're not looking back, that you're not playing the game, that's when they feel the real loss. So don't give them that satisfaction. Don't let their presence in the background mean anything. Don't let them keep you emotionally invested in something that should have ended the moment they walked away. Because the longer you hold on, the longer you let their silent games affect you, the longer they keep winning, But the second you stop checking, stop wondering, stop caring, that's when you set yourself free. And trust me, my friends, freedom, that's worth more than their attention will ever be. So say it with me. I am free from the past. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Number 7, when you stop caring, their game falls apart. They expected you to beg. Now they don't know what to do. Let's be real, my friends. They thought they had you figured out. They thought you'd break first. That no matter what they did, no matter how many times they ignored you, played mind games, or left you questioning everything, you'd still be there, waiting, wondering, hoping. But now you're silent. Now you're unbothered. Now they don't know where they stand with you, and that terrifies them. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure they never get the upper hand on you again. Hey folks, imagine this. A street magician makes a living off tricking people. Sleight of hand, illusions, quick distractions. They always get a reaction. They always control the crowd. Until one day, something different happens. No one reacts, no gasps, no applause. No one even looks their way. Suddenly the magic is gone. The game doesn't work anymore. That's exactly what happens when you stop caring. Because their power over you, it was never real. It only worked as long as you reacted, as long as you played along, as long as they could get inside your head. They thrive on that reaction. The late-night text, the breadcrumb attention, the disappearing act followed by a sudden return. It's all designed to make you feel something, to keep you engaged, even if it's just through confusion. Because if you're still reacting, that means they still have a hold on you. But when you stop, when you don't check, don't wonder, don't care, their whole game falls apart. Because for them, it was never about love. It was never about valuing you. It was about knowing they could still affect you. And now that they can't, they're lost. And I know some of you are thinking, but if they really cared, wouldn't they just reach out? No, because that would require them to admit something they never wanted to admit. That you were never the weak one, they were. Weak people don't take responsibility. Weak people don't own up to their mistakes. Weak people don't step up when they know they should. And that's why they sit in silence. Not because they've moved on, but because they don't know what to do now. They were banking on you to break. They thought you'd fold. That eventually, the silence would be too much, that you'd give in, send that one last message, open the door just enough for them to slide back in, without doing any of the work. But you didn't. And now they're feeling it. Because nothing is louder than silence. Nothing is more powerful than indifference. And let me be clear, you're not being silent because you're waiting for them. You're silent because you're done. And there's a difference. Silence out of hope, that's waiting. Silence out of indifference, that's power. Because when you reach this level, when you finally let go, when you finally move forward, when you finally stop looking back, they lose all control. And that's when it really hits them. That's when they realize they took something rare and wasted it. That's when they realize the game they played for so long is over. And by then, you won't even care. So let them wonder, let them feel it. Let them sit in the silence they created, because you owe them nothing, not closure, not explanations, not one last conversation, not even your attention. So say it with me. I owe them nothing, not even my attention. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself. Number 8, they'll try to sneak back, but you're not the same anymore. They're hoping the old you still lives here, but that person is gone. Let's make one thing crystal clear, my friends. They're not coming back because they've changed. They're not reaching out because they suddenly respect you. They're testing the waters, the fake check-in, the casual breadcrumb, at a random like a profile view, a vague post that seems way too specific to be a coincidence. Dismiss it. The strategic reach out, a late-night text, a sudden apology, a just thinking about you message, says laugh at it. They're not sorry. They're seeing if you're still weak. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you is going to make sure they never get a second chance to waste your time. Hey folks, imagine this. A thief robs a house, takes everything valuable, walks out without looking back. But months later, they drive past that same house just to see if the door is still unlocked. They don't want to fix the damage. They don't want to return what they took. They just want to know if they could still get inside if they wanted to. That's exactly what they're doing to you. They're not coming back to rebuild what they broke. They don't want to make things right. They just want to know if they still have a way in. Because the last time they left, they were sure. Sure that you'd always be there. Sure that no matter how badly they treated you, you'd still care. Sure that if they ever wanted to come back, all they had to do was drop a weak little message and you'd welcome them with open arms. But what they're about to realize is that you're not that person anymore. The old you, the one who would have responded, the one who would have overanalyzed every message, every breadcrumb, every little move they made. That version of you is dead and gone. And I know some of you are thinking, but what if they've changed? What if they really miss me? No, my friends, people don't change in silence. People don't change by disappearing. People don't change by watching from the sidelines like a ghost in your past. People who truly change don't have to test the waters before making things right. But that's exactly what they're doing. They don't want to risk rejection. They don't want to put in the effort. They don't want to actually be vulnerable. So instead they play it safe. They throw out a casual message, a half-hearted like, a weak attempt at connection, just to see if they still have a hold on you. Because if you respond, if you react, if you entertain their return, they get exactly what they wanted, validation. They get to tell themselves, see, I still have them, they still care. I can still come back if I want to. But when you don't react, when you don't fall for the trap, that's when they feel the loss. Because for the first time, they don't know where they stand with you. They don't know if they still have a way back in. They don't know if you still care. And that, my friends, that's what destroys them. Because they expected the old you, the one who gave them chance after chance, the one who always saw the best in them even when they showed you nothing but their worst. But what they don't realize is that the person they left behind no longer exists. And trust me, when they figure that out, when they realize they lost the real you while chasing something temporary, that's when it finally hits them. But by then, you won't even care. So don't fall for it. Don't respond. Don't open the door they once slammed shut. Because you don't owe them a second chance. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them access to the new, stronger, wiser version of yourself. They had their chance. They blew it. And now they live with it. So say it with me. I will not entertain their return. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Number 9, you win when you never look back. They thought you'd always be there. Now they have to face the truth. You're gone. They thought they had time. They thought no matter what they did, you'd always be there. waiting, wondering, willing to give them another chance. But now they have to live with the truth. You're not waiting, you're not wondering, you're done. And that, my friends, that is their real punishment. Not losing you in the moment, but realizing too late that they can never get you back. Because your power was never in getting them back. It was in never wanting them back. You've outgrown them. You've outgrown the version of yourself that would have settled for their half-hearted love, their breadcrumbs, their mind games. And now they don't know what to do. They made their choice. They walked away. They took you for granted. And now they live with it. So say it with me. I have moved on, and I will never look back. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. So folks, they thought you'd always be there, but now they see the truth. You're gone for good. And that's their real loss. So say it with me. I have moved on, and I will never look back. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.